All right, let's talk about the housing market for a second. So let me guess, you're hearing about interest rates are up, the Nashville housing market is slowing down, there's a possible recession, inflation, all that stuff, right? But maybe you haven't realized that you can hack the current market using some of the best buyer leverage we've seen in years. Here's how. So if you've been thinking about buying for the last several months, one of the main concerns you might have is the rising interest rates. They've gone up quite a bit. Historically, any realtor or anyone who's paying attention will tell you that this is not outside of the realm of normal, that the normal that we had in 2020, 2021 was sort of designed to ease the emergency we were in. But one key thing you can do right now, being that houses aren't going in 3 days with multiple offers here anymore, is you can ask the seller for closing funds to buy down a point. Basically, this means with your offer, you're going to ask the seller for a certain amount of funds to buy down a point on your interest rate. And more often than not, sellers are actually willing to negotiate closing cost prepaids, which you can buy a point down with, versus the value of their home. So let me run just two quick scenarios for you. Buying a house now versus waiting out the market and renting. Let's say you buy a $500,000 house in, say, the neighborhood I'm sitting in right now, which is Inglewood in East Nashville. You're going to have the best negotiating power you've had in years. Over the next 2 years, your house is going to appreciate. We've seen this in Nashville for the last 15 years, pretty much no matter what. The last 2 years, we had crazy appreciation, which I don't expect anytime soon, but 8 to 10% is still normal, even in this slowdown. So fast forward 2 years. Your house has now appreciated quite a bit, and you have quite a bit of equity in it. You can refinance when the rates come down, and a lot of lenders are actually offering lender credits to do this for free in the future if you're purchasing with them now. 2 years from now, you've got the equity, you refinanced, you lower the rate, you could even take out some of that equity and have cash to play with. If you're in a position to buy a house, but you're deciding to rent for the next few years, let's compare those scenarios. So if you rent for the next 2 years on the same style house, you're going to be paying about $2,500 to $3,000 a month on that rent. Somewhere between $60,000 and $72,000 over the next 2 years, gone. You wait for the rates to come down, then you go to buy a house. But now, because of appreciation, home values are still going up because Nashville's still expanding. You have a better interest rate, but you have no asset, and you have no equity in your home that you could have been building for the last 2 years. You're starting completely from ground zero. Remember, the interest rate on renting is 100%. So if you're in the market to buy, your agent should really be digging into this stuff and going over the clear advantages you now have as a buyer that you haven't had in years.